Hello and welcome to Uncovered, the podcast with your host, Jason Irving. Join me in a journey to understand what's truly happening in your world and the world around you. This is not about how you're living life on the surface. It's about what's truly driving you from under the covers. I'm going to take you on a journey to deeply uncover the reason why you are here, the ultimate purpose in your problems and the way that they have shaped your life up until now. See, I believe you have a purpose, and your problems are the highway towards ultimate realization of that journey towards freedom and the reconnection of your true self. I've been told I have a different spin on most things, and I'll be giving you my understanding of life, love, and what we're all here for, purpose. To get the best out of this podcast, drop what you already know so you can discover what's beyond you. So join me, let's play this game of life and bring on liberation, transformation, and change. Let's do this. Hey, how you going, guys? I'm here with Mark. How are you, Mark?
I'm good, thanks, Jace. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, no worries. Look, I'm really excited to do this podcast with you. You've been in my academy for how long now?
It's around about 10 months, I think. I did the breakthrough course before then, and then which was a 6-week course, and then been in the academy about 10 months.
Yeah, and so I was so excited when you joined. I looked at you and I was just like, oh my God, I've got a health magician. And when you
Yeah.
what you were doing, I was just like, oh, geez, I hope he's going to want to come and work with us so we can help bring our frameworks into your magic. And so I'd love to know a little bit about your journey, Mark. Like, where have you come from? Why did you do health coaching in the first place? What made you want to help people in this way?
Yeah, it's a really good question, and it's like there's a few different reasons, but I'll just kind of go through quickly the background. So I worked in banking and finance for 10 years, and then probably about 1 or 2 years before I left the industry, just started getting really interested in health and ways to kind of heal myself. I was always kind of interested in health, but was coming across some really good concepts that were really, really working for me. So, and as you've taught in the academy, like once you have that knowledge, once you can apply it, that then becomes wisdom, and then you almost feel an obligation to share it.
I love that. I love that.
Yeah, it's almost like this responsibility that comes over you, and it's it's not always been easy. I really am embracing this kind of self-responsibility and self-management aspect of health. And then I talk to friends and family about that. Some people really reject it quite strongly, and some people really embrace it. And in my observation, the people that really embrace it do really well. So the reason I went down the health path was, I guess it's the wounded healer, the old wounded healer analogy, isn't it? You kind of start by healing yourself, and then you kind of like, all right, I reckon I can help other people do this as well.
Yeah, and I think that's a really important aspect. I think people have no idea what it's like having your own business and working in your own business. There are really dark days, aren't there, Mark?
Yeah, you've helped me through those dark days. I mean, I think, and that's something I didn't anticipate, working for someone, which I did for, 15-ish years, compared to having my own business is completely different. It is like personal development on steroids. It's like there are just mirrors everywhere of where you need to improve and what you need to work on, even simple things around time management. So it is a lot more challenging. I mean, and you've been so supportive in that. I mean, even Wednesday, we had a one-on-one on Wednesday. I was in a deep depression, which I hadn't been in maybe ever, for about 5 days. And I was like, wow, I'm just so low on energy right now.
Yeah.
And you pulled me out of it in around about, 5 to 10 minutes.
Yeah, that's how we roll here.
Yeah. And since then, I've had a very productive week, and that's, testament to the techniques you teach. And also, I'm practicing the techniques, almost daily, most nights before I go to bed. So we were able to turn that around really quickly and just see it as a challenge to help me grow. So,
Well,
and
speaking of that,
how
I
to
think
balance.
I think one of the things that's really, really important around this, Mark, is that people expect us, like we're health coaches,
Yeah,
I
sure.
run an academy, train people to become mentors, and everyone expects us to be on our game, and we're meant to be healthy all the time. We're meant to be doing the right thing, running integrity, where it's just not possible. We all feel broken and busted in some way, and we all need support, including me, right? And it's essential. It's an essential ingredient that, especially for health, right? Health is one of the hardest things to fix in people.
Mm.
It's one of the hardest because it's like where there's some sort of switch in our head that says cake, cake, or cookies, and we just
Mm.
go to the cake and cookie cupboard and grab that cake and we eat it, and then we go, I probably shouldn't have done that,
Mm.
but we
Mm.
can't help it. It's like, and how do we deal with that moment where things tough as a leader? We have to get that nurture and support, and we have to be, I think, in my opinion, which is what I'm sharing, is being transparent that we're not always together.
Yeah, exactly. And that allows us to connect with our clients, because it's like, I've been through this and I can help you through this. And guess what? I'm going to go through it again. And then I can help you through it again at a different level. For example, both me and you, I assume you yourself anyway, have our food down packed. It's not hard. Like, it's not hard for me to have good food at all.
No.
So I can help people get to that level. And then all of a sudden it's around, growing business, facing fears, those kind of things. And now I'm helping people get to that level. So we all go through these things, and it's, life would be boring without it, right?
Now there is an important part. Look, I think what you've hinged on there, Mark, is that if we knew every day, like, we don't like uncertainty, but people who do entrepreneurship are always in uncertainty, because when you're in a job, you're getting paid, you got your money coming in. Whereas we have to actually build an authority. We have to trust ourselves, even when we don't feel it. We follow a model: don't fake it till you make it. That's fucking annoys the shit out of me. It's like, let's get in and do this work and try and just maybe be a step ahead of other people with how we're
Mm.
thinking about ourselves and what we need to do. Because I think for you, Mark, you're that person who had to hide. You didn't want anyone to know, where you were at. And then I sort of got you out of that turtle shell to actually say, hey, I'm feeling this way. And you got to experience the honor, accept, and acknowledge model of what it's like to work with our frameworks. And you're like, it's okay to feel bad.
Yeah, that was a big shift when I first started in the academy. I was always a very positive person by nature. Like, that's the psychology I used to study for fun and part-time growing up, like stay positive, stay positive. But you really taught me how to harness, I guess I'll call it the so-called negative side of you. Let's just call it the other side that's neglected in most people. Um, and as a result, I feel a lot more balanced, and I feel a lot more empowered. Still not, and still coming across challenges and so forth with it, but definitely feel a lot more empowered about it. I'll actually never forget, like, the first session we had, the first group session. I'm not sure if you remember. And I was storing some certain emotions that I'd been hiding in my right knee.
Mm.
And we're able to heal it in a group class in about 10 minutes. You broke me down to tears. But I had amazing, like, I couldn't play basketball, couldn't do anything in my right knee. Within a week or two, I was like basically good to go. And that's with, like, I spent a lot of time doing rehab, saw some excellent practitioners, wasn't doing a thing. And the last advice I got was to start getting injections.
Oh,
Start getting injections. And I mean, it was healed in 10 minutes just by addressing the things that I'd stuffed away, which can now be used quite powerfully.
so isn't that cool to actually be able to know that there's a 10-minute process that you can hand your clients to as well? Because I know that you've been having some amazing results with your clients using adding your magic, which is already there, and placing our magic into your ability to give people the permission to be okay with their pain, to know what's going on. Tell me about some of the experiences that your clients have had, not naming names, but how they've experienced what you've done to elevate the changes and make them more rapid.
Yeah, I think, well, it starts with, rather than coming in, I didn't even realize I was doing it, coming in and trying to put a positive spin. That's almost throwing my judgment on things, like saying, hey, look, you need to think this. But now I'm more like, hey, what's on your mind? Great, let's use that. Let's use that to your advantage. And now all of a sudden, all my clients just feel so much more comfortable telling me stuff,
Yeah.
because there's not going to be judgments like, well, you shouldn't be thinking that way. That's the wrong way to think. What you've taught me is that thoughts are thoughts, emotions are emotions, whatever they are, they can actually be quite powerful. So in terms of the actual techniques, I mean, I use them a lot. I've healed people's body parts. It's helped with people losing weight. And I think it's helped in a couple instances people improve disease states as well, like other different disease states. So
Mm.
yeah, they're quite powerful, especially the emotions-based one. The icosahedron is really quite powerful, but it comes down to how much an individual embraces it as well. I'll be honest with you, Jace, I thought it was quite woo-woo, and you probably picked up on that
Yeah.
when I first started doing it. I was like, what is this?
Yeah.
And I'm like that with all new techniques. I was always like that. So always a little bit skeptical at the start and cynical at the start. But what I realized, and actually what some clients taught me, was the more you can really embrace it, the more change you'll get. And a couple of clients actually, I taught it to them, and they actually really taught me how to be vulnerable with it. So it was kind of like a mutual beneficial.
Yeah, isn't that the most amazing thing that that's I want to touch on that because that's what I love
Yeah.
about your humility. You've just said the most important ingredient around a leader is learning from the students. And so when you have a
Mm,
client, it's reciprocity. And you just said your clients taught you how to be more vulnerable and more open. And that's what it's about. Like I think people don't get true leadership. It's meant to be, hey, we're helping each other grow rather than I'm the master and you're the student of
mm,
because you know so much about the body.
mm.
When you go in knowing that you are here to grow with your clients and with the processes that you do, it makes a huge difference, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. Makes a massive difference. I almost see each one of the clients almost like as a soul contract of sorts, which is like, hey, look, we're in this together. We're in this together to learn and grow. I can really teach you the techniques, and where there's resistance, I can learn how to work around that and help someone break through. Then that teaches me how to break through. So it's just, there's so many mutually beneficial things that happen, just both learning from each other. It's almost like we're both helping each other climb up a ladder. And it's an amazing process, really.
Yeah, it is. And look, I think I just want to touch on something and ask you this question, Mark. Like you, when you're doing health and someone starts to get healthier with what you do now, from what the normal health coaches do, which is let's just get you healthier, follow some of these routines, and then let's get you on a fitness regime, have some of these foods, which doesn't actually really do the job because it's the underneath stuff that comes along. Do you find when now that you've changed your approaches a little bit that more people's stuff is coming up to be healed? And do you have more of a chance to actually work on the real problems now?
Yeah, definitely. If someone applies basic health, the cloud almost lifts a little bit and they're ready to tackle it. So if you can apply basic health principles, they can get ready to tackle it. That's the first thing. Second thing is, once the person becomes aware of, oh wow, there are some actually limiting beliefs here. There is some stuff going on. Then it's almost like Pandora's box a little bit.
Yeah.
But that's when a lot of deep healing can happen. So not only do you get the healing benefit, but as you know, you get the development and the personal development benefit and the change. So all of a sudden it's like, great, if you heal someone from the inside out, then things like their career can improve and their relationships can improve. And that's just as a result of their health improving. And it can be done with the basic physical stuff, let's say, for example, food. And then once you work on the mental, emotional side, that can have a massive flow-on effect to all parts of life, really. And it still comes with its challenges, because you're still like, oh, wow, I'm more self-aware now. And now I really got dreams and ambitions to do this. I'm no longer sleepwalking. I really want to do this. I really want to do this. So that brings its own challenges, but they're exciting. And it's wonderful to see it all happen.
Yeah, it is, and it's wonderful to see your clients win. Like I look at you and I say, well, you're working in the academy and doing the work with us, and it's reciprocity based, and I always get so much value out of you and what you do, and how you are focusing. And this week, I want to ask you this question
Yeah.
about where you're going, because you were feeling really, really heavy when we chatted on Wednesday, and we focused on a certain way of approaching, and I asked, what do you really want to be? And you said you wanted to be a pioneer, right? And I love that. My whole body tingled. I was just like, thank God he's realized that he is one now, right? That
Yeah.
he is
Yeah.
actually a pioneer. And when we're in the beginning phases of actually, because we don't have that really strong street cred, our heads can go, well, who's going to listen to me? Right?
Yeah.
Why am I important? Why am I different? Well, the thing is, our frameworks, what you do, no one does in the world. There's not one person that does what you do uniquely. And the pioneer part is what we do. So we throw a huge ball of techniques at your abilities, and then it's your job to pioneer and mesh those techniques, so then you become a pioneer for health and healing. It's not about just putting stuff in your body. It's about, people come to see you and say, I just want to lose weight. And you're like, yeah, okay, let's go down that rabbit hole. All right. So tell us
Yeah.
what you really want to have the world see, and what part are you going to play in that?
Yeah. Yeah. Sure. In terms of the pioneer side.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, you've kind of put me in it, because you're the first person I've told that, and I almost felt arrogant saying it, and didn't fit. It didn't suit. It felt the right thing to say, but I didn't feel fully comfortable saying it, if that makes sense.
Well, that's you, man. And I'm going to be sticking needles in your eye if you don't do it. So,
I know you will be.
because that's what I'm like. I will bleed for this, because you are a pioneer. So what do you really want health to experience with your health?
I really, what I try and teach is with health, self-responsibility is what I really try and teach, which can be quite a challenge for some people, and it is, and that's why the coaching process works quite well. But it's like, hey, what is authentically working for me, and what is authentically not working for me? When I do research, I just see so much political and corporate influence on some of the information being fed down, and people like, oh yeah, that's really good for me, and it clearly is not.
Yeah.
So it's like, it really annoys me that that's the state of affairs at the moment in the mainstream. Like, that's what like, I just feel as though a lot of people are getting the wrong information. So I really want to promote the right information, which I think is best for a human being and the planet and the environment. It's good for all. Whereas what I see at the moment is a lot of the information being fed for health is not ideal for people's health, and not ideal for the environment either. And that's really what I change in my work day to day, one-on-one. But at some point, as you said, you're going to put needles in my eyes. I'd like to change it a little bit more at a macro level.
Yeah, and I think that's really, really important to give the power back to the people through education. And
Yeah,
I think
sure.
we're not really educated. I did nutrition at university, and what I know now was nothing like what I learned at university. It was like a waste of my time. They just taught about the chemicals and all these things that go in the body, but they never actually spoke about the products that people need to actually have to get themselves well. that actually build a really strong body from the inside out. And
Mm.
I know that you've got that magic. And I think that's one of the things that we can be frightened of in the world, is because we're battling against a system that's broken.
Mm.
And then we have to voice when we're, potentially scared of retribution for what that might mean. That I think when we're ready to have the gun pointed in our head and say, you know what, this matters because people matter and people's bodies really matter, and I have something different to share. Because quite often people come and see us when nothing's worked.
Mm. Mm.
Right? They've
Yeah.
tried all the stuff and nothing's worked, and then they come and see us as the last port of call. Imagine if they came and saw us as the first port of call.
Yeah. 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 Sure. Yeah. Yeah.
Right?
And you're spot on. Like, we both work in, I guess you'd almost say, alternative health, or you're in personal development more so now. And normally, yeah, normally fourth or fifth down the line is not normally the first thing someone tries.
That's right.
They
We go
try
to
it.
the doctor. That's a normal experience. Go to the doctor.
Yeah.
I've got something going on. I better go to the doctor. Now, if I've got something wrong with my head, I'll go and see a psychiatrist or a
Mm,
psychologist.
mm,
So they're the first port of call, or a counselor is the next port
mm,
of call. But they never
mm,
think about someone who has done a definitive and really focused level of understanding around something. And you are like, as you said, you are not just fluffy, you're a researcher. You want to know why, how, and what. That's how you tick, right?
Yeah, yeah, sure. Yeah, I'd love to understand how it all fits in to everything. Like, how's this all fitting in right now? Always trying to figure out, well, what's this piece? How's this piece of information fit in a holistic sense? I guess.
Yeah. And I think that's really important, Mark, is that when we're thinking holism or holism, don't know where that came from. When we're thinking of that, we actually have to, science can drill down into a cell and say this is what it does, but it's missed the whole point of, well, what does that relate to the body? Because it's actually gone too narrow.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
does that make
Yeah, I
sense?
agree.
You know that, and
Yeah.
but science, they go, oh, this is what this cell does, and then they promote it, but it's just lost the whole picture of what it does with the whole reference point of who cares? How's that going to help who you are walking down the street when
Mm.
you're thinking, I'm fat,
Yeah, yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah, yeah.
And they're saying, well, this
Sure,
is how
sure.
you lose the weight, but how do you lose that idea that even when you look good, which is what you and I have experienced with a lot of women, especially with, quite often look after a lot of women, and they never, I've only had 5 people in the time that I've worked with thousands of people, only 5 people say they're happy with their body for women, so
Mm.
they're still
Mm.
looking good, but how do they actually change the state of, I'm okay with my body,
Mm.
right?
Mm.
Because it doesn't happen with that. Here's the cell that makes you happy, right?
Yeah, 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 yeah,
The
yeah, yeah,
happy cell, right?
yeah,
So
yeah,
how do
yeah,
we do that? And that really comes down to your magic to get
yeah.
people to understand, well, what is it that's making them unhappy with their
Mm.
body and how they feel about themselves?
Yeah, exactly. And something I've learned through the academy is it's a chicken and egg approach as well, right? Like, did it start being unhappy first, and then manifest in physical symptoms, or was it the physical things that came in and then the unhappiness came in? So, yeah, there's a whole psychology to it. Yeah, so that's why I love the holistic approach to helping people heal. It literally addresses everything, and then the person can improve as a person in general. Like I said, carry over to career and relationships and so forth. Mm.
Now, Mark, one of the things that we had spoken about, and maybe you might not want to feel comfortable talking about right now, but I'm going to talk about it.
Just say it, Jace. You know how to push me.
Um, you want to be a speaker and share this on stage,
Yeah,
right? So
yeah, I'd love to. And I've done a couple of speeches, maybe 3 or 4 in the last year or so. You know, a little bit hard with COVID, but and just feel so aligned when I do it. Just something happens where I just feel aligned. Even the tone of my voice changes. So it's something that I really want to prioritize more in the short term, really.
Yeah. So again, I will stick some needles in your eyes if you don't actually do that. I'll come up to Queensland and find you. I'll find out where you live. You know? So look, I think that's really important. Is that look, I want to go down a little bit of a rabbit hole with you around that. Now,
Yeah, okay, sure.
you and I have spoken about authority and being a bit. Both of us are actually quite frightened of authority,
Yeah.
right? And so here we are, we wanting to be a speaker. And this is quite often when you deal with your own psychology, you're like, oh my God, that means I have to be an authority. Am I going to be someone who's going to hurt someone? You know, we have all of these things going on because we want to be an authority with kindness, care, and reverence. And this is what we're both like, right? But
Mm.
we can get in our own way when we're actually frightened of authority and we want to be authority because we all have patterns that we have inside of ourselves. It doesn't matter. Like I had experiences where it doesn't really matter where they came from. I had, in year six, I got completely lambasted by my year six teacher. I was so embarrassed. She embarrassed me in front of everybody. And I decided to hide away and go to sick bay so I wouldn't have to do a talk in front of the class all the way from
Mm.
year seven to year 10. And I was scared of authority. So that's sometimes our roadblock. And you've been nervous about coming to see me sometimes when we started our relationship together, right? You'd be like,
Yeah.
oh,
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm a bit nervous of seeing Jason because I'm like the authority of the academy. What's it feel like? Like, I know you're nervous about being that. Like, what's it like, sort of having that fear and wanting to be that very thing?
Yeah, it's a challenge in itself. The fear is, and I think you probably have it as well. We're both care for people, and if you're going to say something in front of multiple people, you're going to say things that don't rub people the right way necessarily.
That's right.
Um, so but at the same time, you want to deliver the truth. So, you know, um, really the main fear for me at the moment that I'm working through is probably fear of not being loved, like looking for that validation from everyone. But then, you know, if you do that, it's kind of like you just sit on the fence. And if you sit on the fence too long, it actually just hurts. So it's like, all right, you got to take an opinion and you've got to actually deliver a message that you truly believe in, not going to hit everyone the right way. Learning to be comfortable with not being liked by everyone, essentially.
Yeah. I
So
think that's important, isn't it? And it doesn't really matter, like,
yeah,
it doesn't matter where that's come from, guys. Like, if that's hit a tune in your bucket, whoever is listening to this,
mm.
we actually help fill that internal base love because and where we go to is actually working on self hate. So we go to the
Yeah.
side and we spend time with that. And that's where the academy work is very different. And I think this is something that I know that you do because I've experienced this from you in the academy is you love people so much it hurts. I can see that in your eyes, right? And that's why being very sensitive and kind and caring can have its caveat,
Mm.
right? Because we think that someone who is going to be mean is going to come with a club and knock us over the head, even though you're a
Mm.
very physically strong, human being, and you throw me around like a rag doll. Still have that feeling inside that someone could come and take you out.
Mm.
And
Mm.
that's the battle, isn't it? Is being able to feel comfortable to share no matter what something might happen to us because we have these echoes in our head, right? That come along.
Yeah. And it's a really good point. I think, and even something you've touched on in some of the seminars I've been to, it's people like us, and I think a lot of people listen to the podcast who have this message to share, but they're riddled with this, these fears and so forth. But that can just keep a person, that normally means they've got a lot of integrity, that they'll deliver an integral message, and at the moment, what I see is a lot of people delivering messages that probably don't have that integrity and they don't have the fear of exposure or caring what anyone thinks. And they are, in my opinion, not delivering the right message, yet have loads of followers.
Yeah,
So, for anyone that's listening that feels they got a message to share and they're nervous about doing it, probably means that, they've got a lot of integrity and they've probably got worth something to share. And it's just a matter of working through their own, self-limiting beliefs a little bit. And like we spoke about, that's things around, fear of exposure, fear of not being loved, fear of offending someone, those kind of things.
Yeah. And look, that is such a magical message. So what you're calling yourself out, so I'm just going to call this out. You own integrity,
Yeah.
right? You absolutely give a shit. What makes you really furious is people who are actually light as a feather, lightweights, sharing a message to a whole bunch of people that could actually make them feel actually be less healthy, right?
Yeah, sure.
So
Yeah.
what I want you to think about, Mark, is for the people who are listening right now who that really touched, you also have a message out there who's listening. And Mark's calling you out. He's saying to you, you have all of the traits and we need nice people to come first. And that's what I said to you. I want you to come first. I want you to share your message because you own the very things that are missing in this world, because there's a lot of lightweights who have got a lot of followers and are sharing dopamine hits.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, well put. And I know one of your passions is seeing nice people flourish, and people living to their potential. I can see that. I mean, I remember when it was about 3 or 4 months ago, I said, "Oh, I'm about to do my own website and Facebook page and so forth," and you just like the happiness that came over you was like just pure joy, So,
Yeah.
but I know that's one of your passions, seeing nice people succeed, because I know you feel they've got a lot of good things to share.
Yeah. And look, I really want to thank you, Mark, for jumping on my podcast today. Your coolest thing is
Pleasure.
you got a straight yes straight away. Whereas when we started, it's like I'm a bit nervous of doing any sort of sharing of myself. And I was just like, if you want to share yourself, you're going to have to be on it. And this has been a great conversation. And I hope, you viewers or viewers or listeners who are listening to this, Mark, how do we find you? Like, what do we do to find you right now?
Yeah. So you can just go on my website, which is Mark Varitimos. So last name spelled Varitimos. So markvaritimos.com. And I've also got a Facebook page, Mark Varitimos, Holistic Health Practitioner.
Awesome. So I'll post that in the links as well for this on our website. So if you guys want to watch us, my website for my podcast is www.wellnessbreakthroughacademypodcast.com. And we'd love you to like and subscribe to this podcast as well. If you think someone really needs some help and some understanding around health, Mark is your man. So just get in touch with him, because one of the things around Mark is he's going to be an extremely busy human, and every single person who gets the opportunity to experience his help, I know they're never ever going to regret the fact that they've got the opportunity to have Mark stand in the pathway of disease by giving them the freedom of health with his magic. So thanks, Mark.
Thanks, Jace. Thank you very much. And you've been a great help the last 10 months. Absolutely fantastic. And if anyone wants someone in their corner to help them win, Jason and his team that he's now built, who are excellent, I think they're just an excellent team and can really help you do that.
Thanks, buddy. I really appreciate the plug back. Woohoo! Right. Take it easy, man. And thanks so much for hanging out with us today and on Uncovered. See you guys.
Appreciate it. See ya.